Hello and welcome. Today we're going to dig into an ancient text called the Dhammadāyādasutta, but we're not going to treat it like scripture. Instead, we're going to look at it as a really profound psychological framework, a kind of operating manual for mental freedom that is shockingly relevant to our lives today. So yeah, let's get right into it.
So let me just start by asking you a question. What does it actually mean to inherit something? I mean, usually we think of inheriting money or a house, right? But what about inheriting an idea or a principle? How do you become the true heir to a powerful way of thinking instead of just someone who collects the stuff associated with it? This is really the central question this text forces us to confront.
You see, the text kicks off with the Buddha throwing down a challenge to his followers, and it's a big one. It gets right to the heart of what it means to actually learn something new, to really grow. He's not looking for people who just, go through the motions. He's after something much, much deeper.
And he gives this core concept a name, Dhammadāyāda. It basically means heirs of the truth. And this has nothing to do with inheriting physical objects like robes or a begging bowl. No, it's about inheriting a mindset, a fundamental shift in how you see the world. It's like the realization itself is the inherit.
And his plea couldn't be more direct. He just says, be my heirs in the Dhamma, not my heirs in material things. And the reason he gives is so powerful. It's compassion. The text uses this specific word, anukampa, which is this incredibly deep form of empathy. You get the sense he's genuinely worried that his followers will get stuck on all the superficial stuff and completely miss the real, life-altering potential of the core idea.
So the text lays out this fork in the road, two completely different paths, two ways of being an heir. It sets up this fundamental choice between inheriting a principle on the one hand and inheriting a provision on the other. Let's really break down what that means.
On one side, you've got the Dhammadāyāda, the heirs of truth. They're focused on principles, on realization, on achieving real mental freedom. But on the other side, you have the Āmasa-dāyāda, the heirs of things. And this is fascinating. The word āmasa literally means raw flesh or bait. The stuff you use to lure and trap an animal. It represents that immediate physical comfort, that material gain, but it always comes with a hook.
Now, to make this difference totally clear, the text does something brilliant. It shifts from theory to a very practical and very high-stakes thought experiment. It's a test, really, designed to reveal what you've truly inherited when you are at your most vulnerable.
So, picture this. The Buddha has just finished his meal, and there's some leftover food that's about to be thrown out. At that exact moment, two monks arrive. And they're not just a little hungry. The text makes it a point to say they are exhausted by hunger and weakness. Their physical need is extreme. And the Buddha's offer is just so simple and completely neutral. He doesn't command them. He doesn't try to persuade them. He just states the facts. Here's the food. If you want it, eat. If you don't, it's going in the trash. The choice is 100% theirs.
So the first monk really thinks about it. His mind goes right back to that central teaching. Be an heir of the truth, not an heir of things. He sees the food, even though it's just leftovers, as āmasa, as that bait. And so he makes a totally radical choice. He decides to endure the hunger, to sit with the weakness, all to uphold the principle he's trying to embody.
Now the second monk, his thinking is a lot more pragmatic. He's basically like, look, I'm exhausted, I'm weak. If I eat this, I can get rid of the hunger and I'll have the strength to get through the night. He chooses immediate physical relief over the abstract principle, and so he eats the food.
Okay, so who made the better call? The one who chose to suffer for a principle, or the one who pragmatically took care of his body so he could keep going? Which one of these monks would you say is more praiseworthy?
And the text delivers a verdict that might be a little surprising. The Buddha says that the first monk, the one who chose to stay hungry, is the one who is more to be honored and praised. Now that can sound pretty harsh, right? I mean, why would you praise someone for choosing to suffer? Well, the praise isn't for the suffering itself. It's for the deeper psychological process that's going on.
And that's what brings us to the real psychological genius of this text. The praise has nothing to do with the act of suffering. It's all about the mental qualities that the first monk's choice actively strengthens, the way it builds a kind of inner fortitude.
So here's the crucial point. By refusing the bait, the first monk is basically working out these 5 key mental muscles. He's cultivating apicchata, which is this minimalist mindset of having few wishes. He's practicing santushti, or contentment. Saleka, which is like effacing the ego's constant demands. He's proving he is subhaharata, or easily supported. And paradoxically, this act of denial actually creates viryarambha, aroused energy for the long-term project. It's all about building inner resilience, not about glorifying pain.
Now, at this point in the text, the Buddha actually leaves the scene, and his chief disciple Sariputta steps in to elaborate. His job is to take this high-level principle and translate it into a practical, actionable path that avoids all these extremes.
Sariputta introduces the famous Majjhima Patipada, or the middle way. You can think of this as the how-to guide. It's the concrete methodology for abandoning all those unskillful mental states that keep us hooked. It's the Noble Eightfold Path, a full cognitive and behavioral toolkit for achieving that mental freedom the Buddha was talking about all along. Sariputta then lists out the specific psychological challenges this path helps us overcome. The text calls them evils, but we can easily reframe them in modern terms. Greed and hate? Well, that's just attachment and aversion. Contempt and rivalry? That is the social comparison trap we all fall into every day. Envy and stinginess? That's a classic scarcity mindset. It's an incredibly comprehensive map of the cognitive distortions that cause us so much trouble. And here it is. This is the most optimistic and empowering message in the entire text. It doesn't just hand you a laundry list of your psychological flaws. No. For every single one of these obstacles, from anger and hostility all the way to a simple lack of mindfulness, Sariputta says very clearly, there is a path to let go of it. It's not a permanent part of you. It is a solvable problem.
So this ancient text leaves us with a very, very modern question. We are absolutely bombarded with amisa, with all kinds of material and digital bait that is precision engineered to hook our attention and our desires. So in the face of all that, what is the principle, what is the truth that you choose to inherit? And just as importantly, what is the bait that you are learning to refuse in order to cultivate your own mental freedom?